All right. Good morning, everybody. Happy Sunday. It is a good day to be up. It is a good day to be rolling. Welcome back to the journey of the NFL mock draft as we are getting ready for pick number 22 with the Philadelphia Eagles. Brandon will be joining us here on Instagram Live in a little bit at the All Sports Talk podcast. You can also join us on YouTube Live at Jack's Wild Sports Show. It is a good day. We are back on the clock here after being gone for a few days. And there he is, the man of the hour. Brandon, how are you, my man?
Last night was great. WrestleMania was good.
That was the thing, huh? WrestleMania was, yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you. I enjoyed it too. I thought it was a great show. I thought they put on a really good product out there yesterday. A couple surprises and one super underwhelming match, which I had a lot of hope for, but it just was super underwhelming.
I already know the match you're talking about.
You probably don't. You probably don't. Which match do you think that was?
Jay and Jimmy.
No, that one I knew was gonna be. That one I knew was gonna be such a quick, not quick, but such a like a okay. That was the match how I expected it to go. Good finally
Yeah.
prevailing, the little brother finally prevailing the bigger brother or whatever. To me, it was the six women tag match. I thought that was going to be a little bit more better just due to the names that were in there, and it was so like, okay, yeah, I get it,
Yeah, but see, that's like, I expected the match to be exactly the way it was.
and that's the funny thing, right? We
Yeah.
like, I'm like, yeah, I could have told you Jimmy and Jay was going to go like that, but the
I kind of was like, yeah, Jimmy and Jay is not gonna be great like everybody
yeah,
thought.
but it's not that it wasn't a great match. It was just like, come on,
Yeah,
man. Like they didn't build it. They didn't build the hype around enough. Great promo though. I will say this. Great promo.
amazing promo. If they could win off the promo, it was amazing. That was a
Yeah,
five-star promo.
they should have just done like the promo, but overall, great night one. Can't wait for night two. Especially now that we know the stipulations for the main event today. So and The Rock, man, like he literally put the man on the spot for his job. Like, yo, my guy, you count, I'm fucking firing you. Like, whoa.
You know who I am. I'm the Rock. I don't fuck around.
I don't fuck around. I'm like, yo, like, yo, what's up, man? Like, what's happening here? But overall, night great one. A lot of surprises, especially the. It's kind of funny that we're talking about, we're going to see night two later on, and then it's going to be happening in the stadium on the team that is on the clock today, the Philadelphia Eagles. And then I got to say this, though. Jason Kelsey's enjoying life, man. That man is enjoying life, bro.
He really is.
From going to the championship to going to a playoff game, taking off his shirt, jumping into the fans, from the suite to the fans, drinking a beer and to being a luchador. I must have missed the memo because they don't, luchadors don't usually look like that. So it's kind of
That was big ass luchadors.
like those were two big ass luchadors, man. So I'm like, whoa, what's going on here? But overall, I'm very happy that Jason Kelsey's enjoying life, man. He deserves it. All right, 13 years in the NFL. Let him have fun for one. Like, let him have fun. Let him have some fun. But that is the team that we're going to be talking about today on this beautiful Sunday. It is the Philadelphia Eagles. Um, I think it's very weird how the Eagles season turned out. And, I think if you would have told anybody at the beginning of the year that if Jonathan Gannon was going to be the missing piece for the Eagles, I think a lot of people probably would have laughed. I think a lot of people would have probably scoffed at it because of how it fell apart at the Super Bowl defensively. It's like, I don't think he's the missing piece. I think we just need, more players. And come to find out that, yeah, Jonathan Gannon, he's, yeah, they really missed him this year. And, from 10 to 1, the fact that they were 10-1 at one point of the year. If you would have told them at that time, hey, they're only going to win one more game, by the way, I think people would have laughed. I think they were on the path to, I think everybody would have already thought, here they come, another division title, back-to-back years for the first time an NFC East team does that in a very long time. And then it just topsy-turvy, man. That's the NFL. That's the NFL. You just don't know until you don't know until you know. So, Brandon, I don't know about you, man, but I know I'm ready to get into this. You ready to get into this? All right. So, as we mentioned, the Philadelphia Eagles picking number 22. They are 11-6 after having the 7th best offense, 30th best defense. I think that's the more jarring one to me. I think if you just looked at the players, if you just looked at players on the paper, it's like, oh, they have to be better than half of the league. And it's just, no, it just never turned out that way. 11th. They were 11th in the league, or 30th in the league in defense, in total defense, statistically. And I think from a year ago, I think that's such a jarring number to look at, because even after the draft of what they did, from going for Jalen Carter, going to Nolan Smith, drafting Kylie Ringo from Georgia, it was just, you could just tell that they were all in to try to make this defense better. And I get it, Jonathan Gannon and the offensive coordinator. So, of course, new systems. But the problem was the offense still looked fine. It's just the defense was never to recapture, I guess, that moment. I guess, it hit them a lot. There's Super Bowl hangovers, and then there's this. And I think that's what happened. I think they just never got I don't know if it was just they never got their confidence back, if it just, there was no chemistry. I don't know. But I mean, and it wasn't for a lack of trying. You know what I mean? They traded for Kevin Bynard. They drafted Jalen Carter. They drafted Nolan Smith. They got Jordan Davis for this moment. It's, so the fact that they were 30th overall in defense I think that was jarring to me. But Brandon, one word to describe the Eagles season in your eyes.
Disappointing. Yeah, I mean, it really started during the off season, really, when they didn't know what they wanted to do with Darius Slay, if they wanted to let him go or bring him back. It seemed like something was up with that situation, and then it was just like, okay. And you let Gardner Johnson just go, and you're like, okay, I guess. And yes, the coordinators left. And you're right. If you were to tell a lot of people that the defense would be the one that would suffer the most because of the defensive coordinator was gone, you probably would have been laughed out the damn building. Like, get the hell out of here. We literally looked at the draft last year, and we said, they got Jalen Carter. Marcus Spears almost had a goddamn heart attack.
Yo, that segment when Jalen Carter got drafted to Philadelphia, it was, I literally thought Marcus Spears was having a panic attack. Like, he was hyperventilating, and I'm like, can somebody get this man like a brown bag, or like, can somebody call 911, please? Like, yo, what's wrong here? Like, what's happening here?
But it's like we didn't even think the Eagles was eligible to get Jalen Carter. What the fuck is going on? We both were like, I'd rather hear the Eagles get Bijan Robinson. What the fuck is this? Like, who told them they could just get Jalen?
Looking back on it now, wouldn't it have been the worst thing in the world if the Eagles got Bijan Robinson now? It wouldn't have, I mean, yeah, don't get me wrong. Oh, great. Bijan Robinson's killing it offensively, but it's like, oh my God, Jalen Carter, but that's what happens. We don't know until they hit the field,
It was like, what the fuck? Nobody thought that was possible. We were joking, man, the Georgia Eagles are just gonna be on the field all goddamn time. And it just felt like something was off the entire season. And here's the crazy part. They started off undefeated. Like, they were like the best team for a good stretch of time.
I mean, at one point, they were 10-1.
They were 10-1. And it was like, okay, cool, okay.
Like, yeah, this is what, and I figured, the close games, people were being a little jarred about the close games and everything. I'm like, yeah, but this is the Eagles. Like, this is what, they do. Like, they know how to win. This is why they're the best team in the NFL, because they know they have that experience to close out the games. But there was a little something behind it. I think there was more to it. And I think what it was, okay, you replace Jonathan Gannon, you replace, Shane Steichen. You fired your defensive coordinator, put in Matt Patricia, and somehow got worse.
They got worse.
Like somehow, and so it was time. It was time. And I'm gonna read these numbers to you. Jalen Hurts, people are like, oh, he had such a down year and everything. 3,858 yards, 23 touchdowns, and 15 interceptions. The only thing that was down about him was the interceptions went up. Other than that, he still played his game. In the fumbles. That was it. DeAndre Swift, 1,049 yards, 5 touchdowns. A.J. Brown doing his thing. 106 receptions, 1,456 yards, 7 touchdowns. So offensively, they were fine. I mean, they were sound. It's like, oh, well, it's business as usual. Just the turnovers is what killed it. And I think that's what ultimately killed it. They couldn't find the groove. The turnovers got too much. And I think that was the downfall of the Philadelphia Eagles this year. And then you look defensively, Reed Blankenship, 113 combined tackles, also led the team in interceptions with 3, and Hassan Reddick with 11 sacks. So, to me personally, I just think what it was, I think it was just a matter of when is the new leaf going to turn? Because I think what it was is when you looked at the veteran players, I think they were just looking at it like, okay, when is the new leaf going to turn? When are the youngsters going to get their shot? But I don't think the youngsters couldn't have gotten their shot because, well, you guys are still here. So it's just, I think they just mishandled on how to put the veterans and the youngsters together. And I think that, to me, that's what it was defensively, is when is the new leaf going to turn?
Yeah, so what you're saying is they kind of had like a Golden State year.
Exactly.
Like it was too many veterans and not enough opportunities for the youngsters to actually step up.
Yeah, that's basically what it was.
Yeah,
and I just think for me, it's one of those things where I think the youngsters are going to stand up. I think the youngsters are going to get in. They're gonna be fine because the youngsters were just learning how to play still. Now that they got a full year in, now they know their assignments, and now they're going to get taught by a really good defensive coordinator in Vic Fangio, who can probably turn this defense around. He's had his problems.
Okay, first of all, what happened in Miami last year with Vic Fangio does not go against who he really is as a defensive coordinator.
I think what happened in Miami, I just think that the best way to put it, I think it was a personality problem on both sides. I think Vic Fangio couldn't handle the personality from the players in Miami, and I don't think the Miami players could have handled the Vic Fangio person. Maybe Jalen Ramsey, but Jalen Ramsey is just a different kind of cloth. And even then, he's even spoken out about the problem with Vic Fangio, And it's just, I think Vic Fangio understands now. Like, I think what it is Vic Fangio needs to really look at himself, and he knows he has to take lessons from his head coach, Nick Sirianni, who I found it very funny this year that he deserves to be fired. And I'm just like, yes, the man that has gotten you into the playoffs, since he's practically been there, had to play with a quarterback, had to get a quarterback that was coaching high school football just to be your quarterback in your first playoff run, took you to a Super Bowl in a second run, still took you to the playoffs again, but got bounced out of the first round again. But yet you want him fired because of the way the Eagles are being treated. I will love to be in the playoffs for 3 straight years in a row.
I want people to understand something.
I would love to have my team to have double-digit wins 3 years in a row. But go off.
So many people sit there and say, this offense is bad this year. When you route all those numbers, they're like, man, this offense is bad this year. They were the 11th best offense in the entire NFL. That's bad? I'm sorry. That's bad.
And then statistically, as a whole category, 7th.
It's just like, that's bad. Like,
yeah, they were 11th. They were 11th in running, and seventh, or I'm sorry, ninth, eighth in passing, and they were overall statistically seventh.
I think people. I literally heard for weeks, months, people on ESPN, people on Fox Sports, try to sit there and literally say the Eagles have an identity crisis. I don't think they did. I literally think what happened with the Eagles happens to all teams. Their players are getting old, man. And the players that you're relying on, they can't do that shit no more. Brandon Graham been in the league since I was a kid. I was a fucking kid when he got drafted. Like
Brandon Graham got drafted when I was about to graduate high school. That was 15 years ago.
Like, I had just entered high school. Like Fletcher Cox been in that team for like a decade plus now. Jason Kelsey, a decade plus. Landon Johnson was what, my junior year in high school when he got drafted, 2011?
Lane Johnson got drafted after I came back from my first tour.
Yeah, 2011?
Roughly, yeah, 2010, 2011, one of those two. But I think I just came back.
It's like, we're in 2024. You can't be relying
So again, what are we talking about? What we're talking about is they don't have an identity crisis. They just, for the last 3 years, they've overexceeded playing a lot of games because that's what happens to older players. You get tired. It happens to everybody. It happens to all great teams.
And that's the thing. You made the playoffs 3 consecutive seasons.
Now, I get it. People are going to say, well, they got eliminated in the first round. Yeah, but in their second run, they made it to the Super Bowl. That's a lot. They've been playing a lot of games the last 3 years. You have to keep that into consideration that they've been playing a lot of games this year.
I don't understand people's logic behind the Eagles' downfall. It's like
the downfall was this: health, injury, age.
Age. That's it.
And the thing is, what have you been saying for the last 2 to 3 years? Well, everybody's been drafting for a knee. The Eagles have been drafting for the next leaf, the next chapter. You know, you draft a Jalen Carter because you get a Jordan Davis and a Jalen Carter because at any moment Fletcher Cox could be leaving. You take a Nolan Smith because Brandon Graham could almost be out the door. You take a Cam Jurgens because Jason Kelsey's on his last leg. You take a Landon Dickerson because you don't know if Cam Jurgens is going to work out at center. You get a Jordan Mailata because Jason Peters is almost out the door. So the Eagles have been preparing for this. And here's the crazy thing. They're still having success. You get an A.J. Brown because you don't know what your receivers are going to look like. You drafted Devontae Smith because what if A.J. Brown doesn't work? You get a Jalen Hurts because are you still that confident in Carson Wentz? They've been preparing for this new leaf now for 5 years. They have been ready for this.
You let a Miles Sanders walk who had the quietest 12,000-yard season and ended up getting DeAndre Swift.
Like you, and then on top of that, what you do this offseason. So
and you let him walk and you're Saquon. Like it's just like, come on,
to me, it's just I think people don't understand. It's like, listen, the Eagles, yeah, was it a disappointing year last year? Yeah, absolutely. Just on the count of, just on the accountability of, man, they bring everybody back. But again, stuff happens. And I think Vic Fangio can't fix this defense. I mean, because this defense is already down is already down bad. Vic Fangio can only bring it up. And in reality, this is Vic Fangio's last chance too. Because people are already talking about him like he's the problem. The track record says it's a possibility because look what happened in Miami. Look what happened in Denver. But I can also say the track record Well, what has the defense been since Vic Fangio's left? What has the defense been since he left other teams? Since then, it's gone downhill. So, but in reality, but nobody cares about the past. It's just what are you doing for me now? And I think Vic Fangio, and I think this is why Nick Sirianni brought in Vic Fangio to give a wake up call to his younger guys of this is how it needs to be done. Because the Eagles defense can only go up from here. And that is a scary fucking thing. Because if the offense stays on track, if Nick Sirianni can get a reset, get the Eagles offense back on track, and the defense can meet them halfway, we're looking at a very competitive football team again. So, now, free agency wise, a lot happened. A lot happened for the Eagles. DeAndre Swift, he's in Chicago. Kevin Byard followed with him in Chicago. Nicholas Morrow, the linebacker, who they got, he's now in Buffalo. And Quez Watkins, the wide receiver, he's now in Pittsburgh. Possibly to compete for the number 2 spot now that Deontay Johnson's out. But, we'll see. We'll see. Now, as far as arrivals, this is what's crazy. Devin White, the former first rounder, he's now heading to Philadelphia. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson is returning to the Philadelphia Eagles after playing 1 year in Detroit. Bryce Huff, the edge rusher from the Jets, who had a good season, is coming to the Eagles. And then their prized possession this offseason. Saquon Barkley, the man that caused so much drama, and all he did was put ink on paper. He didn't kill anybody. He didn't do anything stupid. He just joined another team, and it caused the biggest drama on the East Coast radio stations.
Listen, he might not have killed anybody, but he's still dead to Tiki Barber. So,
it caused such a riff that that was literally news, like for like a minute. Like that was like, whoa. Like Tiki Barber went on this rant. And we had this discussion when we did the Giants pick, in the very beginning stages of this stream of this pretty much all our picks and everything. So we're not gonna get much into it. If you want to know like our opinions, and my opinion's still the same. I think Saquon Barkley is just bitter.
Tiki?
Or I'm sorry, Tiki. I just think Tiki is just bitter. And it's the same thing I've been saying about a couple free agents this year, with Mark Schlereth to Jerry Jeudy. It's like, well, dude, who are you? Who are you to make a decision for this man that has to do what's best for his well-being, that has to do what's best for his family and his situation? And, who are you to get into other people's pockets? You're upset because they didn't want to give up their pockets to pay you, so you retired. And the Giants got better. And I know what people are going to say. It's like, well, they didn't get better. They made the wild card. Yeah, but they won the Super Bowl. To me, that's getting better. And this is after a year you retired. If you probably would have retired 5 years earlier, the Giants probably would have had 4 Super Bowls in 8 years. I'm just saying. But, it's just bitterness. Bitterness is a disgusting look, my friend. But overall, Saquon Barkley joining the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, how does this fit? I think it fits better now because, one, Jason Kelce's not there no more. Let's get that out the way. Jason Kelce's not there no more. So I think we're going to see less of the tush-push this year. 2, I think it fits to an extreme point of we know what the Eagles want to do this year. They want to get better in a certain area, running the football. And to the point where DeAndre Swift and Jalen Hurts don't have to do the whole big carry load. Saquon Barkley can do that for you. I think this is what they wanted to do. They wanted to get back into the running game. But overall, I love the pick. Yes, does Saquon Barkley have injury concerns? 100%. Yeah, of course, 100%. But also, Saquon Barkley has never been behind a decent offensive line either. So it's going to be pretty interesting to see how he looks behind a decent offensive line. And I love how Saquon Barkley was trying to get Jason Kelsey to come out of retirement. But I think Saquon has to understand, no, that man mentally is done. He is mentally done. So, Brandon, your thoughts on the Eagles' free agency so far?
They also re-signed Maddox.
Yep, Javonte Maddox. He got re-signed as well. Yeah.
So pretty much bringing back kind of some of the secondary. For me personally, the Eagles doing what the Eagles do, either in the draft or in free agency. They always gonna find a way to kind of, to get back to at least a decent balance of something. You lost some players and then they came back and got better.
Yeah.
I don't expect the Eagles to lose too much steam. The Saquon Barkley pickup is just a massive slap in the face to the Giants. So that is just a straight up like it's just
that's tough, man. That's tough. That would have been the best way I can put it. That probably would have been like if they took if the Giants took LaShawn McCoy at the early time of his career. But again, it's not so much like listen.
They would like to Brian Westbrook.
They would have took that too. But to me, it's I have no listen. It happens. Happens all the time. Every year it happens every year. Players just sign, and that's what it is. He just happened to sign within the division, which you're upset about. And if I'm the Giants, I can't be mad because this is the bet you made. You paid a certain player.
I'm about to say you signed a man for $45 million through 15 fucking touchdowns the year prior. You made this bet, I lay in it, son of a bitch. That's stupid. I'm just.
And here's the thing: the other players in that same building even spoke up about it.
I told you that this was a stupid decision. Said it.
So publicly, radio waves, social media.
The head coach was like, "Yo, this is not a good idea. I don't think that was a really smart idea for them." I would have chose not to do it.
So to me, it happens. We move on. But overall, I like what the Eagles did here. They brought some familiar faces in Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, Devontae Maddox, but they also brought in some really high priced on low end contracts, other than Saquon, obviously. Now, the whole Hassan Riddick trade that literally happened. Well, there's your replacement, Bryce Huff. Yeah, is he as good as Hassan Riddick? Yeah, probably not. But he's younger, and he can give you the same product, almost as darn near same productivity. Overall, I like what the Eagles did. I think if Vic Fangio steps it up. Sorry. Thank you. And if the Eagles players can buy into Vic Fangio, I think we're going to see a quick turnaround of the Eagles team that we saw 2-3 years prior before all this. So I like it. Hopefully, the Eagle fans enjoy it too. And then another thing too about it is at least they're trying, right? Because in a couple days here, we're going to talk about a team in the same division who are all in. And here's the thing, and I had to bring up this team on today's episode because they are in the same division. And here's the thing. I called it last year when I said this certain team is going to win the division this year. I said it. And I also said If it's not this year, then when? Apparently, I have to keep waiting for when because I don't know when. I don't know. And that's in 2 days.
You're my brother, and I just thought that you would know that that team just ain't that team. You've been watching it longer than I have. You should know now.
But eventually a new leaf has to turn, Brandon.
But that leaf has got to be a leaf first. That shit is.
So we're still on the branch? We're just the stem?
They ain't even a tree. That shit just a stump, man. Just there.
It's just a stump. It's just there.
It's a stump. It's from the 90s. It's just still there.
Hey, it used to be a great tree. What happened? Life, motherfucker, life. Life.
Ego and envy.
Jesus. But no, I will say this. I think for the Eagles, I think people are misinterpreting, and I think they're misconstruing that, that the championship run is over. I'm not going to say that the championship run is over. I will say, though, I think the Super Bowl window has expedited because you did give that contract to Jalen Hurts last year. So I would say maybe it's expedited, but I will say this. I don't think their Super Bowl window is closed anytime soon. I think that they still have a shot. Now, expediting it, maybe because of the contract you give to Jalen Hurts, maybe, but we'll see. Brandon, any last thoughts before we get into our picks here?
They play in the NFC East, so I would never sit there and say the Eagles can never get to a Super Bowl or even probably win it. And the NFC is in a down period this upcoming season. I don't think a lot of people have really talked about it as much as we probably should. I don't think San Francisco is going to be what San Francisco was for the last couple of years. The Rams might be a team that we expected them to be last year. The only team I can still see probably being even competitive is Detroit. And even with that, you don't really know if they're going to still be that team. So the Eagles, I feel like, have a chance to still get to a Super Bowl and probably even win it. I mean, let's be real. They probably could give Kansas City more of a challenge than San Francisco did. So.
Oh, no, I know they can. Because they played twice. One in neutral field and one at home. And or one away. And they went 1-1. So, I mean, yeah, that's not even a question. You know what I mean? Like that's not even a question. So, yeah, I think the Eagles season, I think there's going to be a lot of questions that have to be answered early on, whether it's training camp, preseason, all that good stuff. But overall, I think this Eagles team, I think they're doing the right decisions, and I think they might catch some people by surprise defensively, at least. If the offense can just stay afloat or maybe just get a little better in a certain area, then you know what? I think they did a hell of a job to try to fix the problem, especially in 1 year. So other than that, I mean, that is it. So, Brandon, without further ado, who do you have the Philadelphia Eagles selecting with the 22nd pick in this year's draft?
With the 22nd pick in the 2024 NFL draft, the Philadelphia Eagles will select Jackson Powers Johnson, offensive lineman, Oregon. I know you picked him last show. I had to pick her. I'm sorry. I gotta give the Eagles the center. I gotta at least try. This is ridiculous. I'm not saying that he's gonna be Jason Kelce replacement to the fullest, or he's gonna grow into the new Jason Kelce. I don't know. I really, really don't know. But what I do know is this: that offensive line of the Eagles at one point was kind of the only reason why they were even somewhat competitive.
Yeah.
And then they just got injured, and they got old, and they got old fast. You're like, shit. You're push tush anymore either. I think it's kind of over and done with. I think the NFL, even though the NFL didn't ban it, it was still kind of like y'all put a little bit too much emphasis on the tush push being such a crazy play. Like, no, you sons of bitches just can't do it. That's really what it is. If everybody could do it, then you'd be like, oh, this is actually a good play. It makes sense. But the fact that nobody could really do it, it was like, okay, we got to kind of outlaw this. Could I have gone defense here with the Eagles? Of course I could have. I could have given them a cornerback. Maybe even, I don't want to give them another defensive tackle. That's just power knowing now. I don't think that is literally just power knowing now.
3 defensive tackles, 3 years in a row.
Yeah, that's just literally power knowing now.
That would be like, wow.
Yeah, that just I didn't even give him a pass rusher, but it feels like right now this team, it needs to get back to building this offensive lineup. And do I think Jackson Powers Johnson is going to be immediately that guy? I don't know. But what I do know is they need to get something in that offensive line and help it out. Because what they are lacking, they can get in the draft immediately. Like we've been saying, they've been drafted for the future. They've been drafted for things. And they can get a cornerback or a receiver or, a defensive end in the next couple of rounds, which this draft is kind of stacked to the fullest with receivers and cornerbacks and offensive linemen all over the place.
Oh, yeah. No, trust me.
So, yeah, I think that the Eagles go with Jackson Powers Johnson.
Okay, well, I mean, I can't. Because he's gone.
He's gone. Yeah, he's gone.
He's going to Pittsburgh. He's going to the great state of Pennsylvania.
You just go to Pittsburgh.
He's going to Pittsburgh, not Philadelphia, Pittsburgh. So it's yeah, I mean, so from Oregon to Pennsylvania, Jackson Powers Johnson, congratulations. Start looking for a real estate agent. You just don't know if it's Philadelphia or Pittsburgh. So, yeah, and, I can say the same thing too, and we said it earlier, yeah, sure. Where does he fit if they were to get Jackson Powers Johnson? Center. And you move Cam Jurgens to guard. And Landon Dickerson is your right guard. You move Cam Jurgens to the left guard. You still have Jordan Mailata and Lane Johnson. And all of a sudden, it's like, oh, well, hey, there it is, right? Like, oh, my God,
And maybe you draft a replacement for Lane Johnson next year.
I don't know. It's, but I will say this. So here's my problem. He's in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, he's gone.
He's gone. He went 2 picks ago. So he's about to, get, he's gone. And, like we said, and you said it too, the Eagles draft for the future. They draft for, the replacement of this or the replacement of that or the replacement of, they just draft for the future because that's what smart NFL teams do. And that's the Philadelphia Eagles. Yeah. But I think this year, I don't think it's that simple. I think this year the Eagles have to draft for need because you need this. And you didn't address it free agency wise. I mean, you kind of did, but you kind of didn't. You need this. And I think you know where I'm going with. I think this is their biggest need in this year's draft. And I think that there's only one real answer, in my world to what the Eagles should do for this year's pick. So for me, with the 22nd pick in this year's 2024 NFL Draft, the Philadelphia Eagles select Quinyon Mitchell, the corner out of Toledo, 6 foot, 200 pounds, 2-time first team All-MAC in 22 and 23. And I know people are going to look at his stats this year, 41 tackles, 1 interception. But you should really see the year before, his junior year, where it was 42 tackles, 5 interceptions. So same amount of tackles and less interceptions. And I wonder why that was. And then, well, he played in the MAC. He can't translate to the NFL. Yeah, tell that to Khalil Mack when he played in Buffalo and all that good stuff, you know.
As I said, Sauce Gardner played for Cincinnati. What the fuck does that mean?
Not
Like,
a
literally, what the fuck does that mean?
like all right, cool. And then he went to the Senior Bowl. Everybody expecting him, to like, all right, well, because he was already being talked about, mid second, maybe early second, at worst, top of the third. And then he put on a show, and it's like, yeah, this is why the Senior Bowl is important to some of these kids to showcase their talent. And now we have him here, late first, early second, mid second, but that round 3 shit tag is over. So, I think to me, I think what it is do I think that he's better than Arnold? No. Do I think he's better than Cooper DeJean? No. But I think with scheme wise, they need speed at corner. And he's pretty quick. He's a pretty fast dude. To me, and he's a good cover corner, which is something the Eagles needed too. And now you got Maddox, and then you got Quinyon Mitchell. Sure, you can always wait until free agency to maybe get a free agent, maybe an Xavier Howard, maybe a Marcus Peters. Somebody's out there, right? Somebody's always out there after the draft, right? But I think to me, scheme wise, I got to go with Mitchell here because I think he would fit the Philadelphia Eagles very perfectly. It's a need. It's not just a need. It is a glaring hole. It is such a glaring hole because after Devontae Maddox and after a couple of other corners, you really don't have one past this year. So you need somebody that's going to be in that building. And I know one is not going to cut it, but it's better than having zero. You know what I mean? It's better than having zero. So to me, Quinyon Mitchell here, the corner out of Toledo, that's who I'm going to go with. If I was a general manager of the Eagles and the draft played out the way it did, I have to grab Mitchell here before somebody else does. So Mitchell from Toledo, come on down. You are now a Philadelphia Eagle.
Well, you know me. I drafted a cornerback for the Eagles last year, Christian Gonzalez. I already saw this coming. I saw this coming in a year ago. I was like, yep, get a cornerback. Why not? I don't see anybody in that secondary that I trust like that. And you just lost a lot of pieces. So get a cornerback. And they drafted Jalen Carter.
Now, it's not so crazy to think now that Christian Gonzalez could have gone at 9. It's not so fucking crazy. But the thing is, he fell to New England.
And you had him right. He was right there. All you had to do was just take him.
Well, no, the thing was this, though. Jalen Carter, here's the thing. Jalen Carter, Christian Gonzalez, I understand why you went with Jalen Carter.
Yeah.
Now, in Washington's case, Emmanuel Forbes or Christian Gonzalez, hey, we have to have a discussion. We have to have a discussion, young blood. Hold on. What are you doing? What are you doing, bro? Like, really? Really? All right. It's cool. It's cool. So, no, and like I said, I just think the Eagles, that's one of their glaring holes, right? That is their glaring hole for everything. So it's such a weird decision, like predicament that the Eagles are in because they usually don't draft for need. They just try to get for replacement.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things. And then, again, it's like that's why they made the trade for AJ Brown because all Jalen Reagor was a mistake. We can admit that. And they went for AJ Brown and Devontae Smith to make sure they don't fall in. That's the thing about the Eagles. If they make a mistake, they try to fix it really, really quick. So I like that. Now, I also like the whole Jackson Power Johnson thing. Like, that would be such a crazy way to be like. But the thing is, it's like, oh, shit, I have to replace Jason Kelce. Yeah, you kind of do, bro. And
in the noun sense, it would work if you do it now.
because Jason Kelce is a beloved figure in the city of Philadelphia. So Jason Kelce can go to any bar in Philadelphia and not have to buy a beer. Jason Kelce can go to any restaurant in Philadelphia and they will never charge him or his family. He is that beloved. So that would suck for Jackson Power Johnson, but I think he can do it. I truly believe in his ability. But I got him to go to Pittsburgh to kind of get away from all that, but even then, you still have to do like the whole thing. Like, hey, they haven't had a great center since Marquise Pouncey, so good luck, bud. So
You're gonna be replacing somebody legendary in somebody's franchise. That's just the way it's gonna be.
That's just the way it's gonna be. But I have total faith in you that you can totally do it. So good luck, my man. But no, I like it. Like I said, I like the pick. I just think right now, because he's off my board, sure, I could have gone with center. I could have gone with the kid from Duke or the kid from West Virginia. I get it. But I think that's too high. And I just think that corner is such a big need. And I know what you said earlier, like, yeah, there's a lot of corners in rounds 2 and 3, but you have to get what you need right now. So, and if I want a center in the second round, I could get the kid from Georgia. I could get there's a lot of centers too. So I can get the kid from UConn if I really wanted to. It's just hard at this point of the draft for the Eagles to look at it and be like, yeah, there's no way we can't walk out of round 1 without a corner. So that's why I'm going to go with Mitchell here.
This Quinn Mitchell is the second best corner on the board. I haven't picked him yet. but yeah. I mean, like you said, both Alabama cornerbacks are still on both our boards, which is kind of crazy. Some people probably be so mad at us. Because we
How do you disrespect Alabama like that? Because I can.
You really got to sit there and tell me Alabama don't. Listen.
There's still like 9 picks to go.
Yeah, like what are we doing?
And so what if one falls in out of the first round? Xavier McKinney was a sure bona fide first round safety, and the Giants got him in number 2. In round 2. It happens. It happens all the time. Landon Collins, how could this happen? Because it happens. There's only 32 slots. You can't draft everybody,
You really can't.
How many kids come out for the draft every year and only like 40% of them get drafted? It is what it is. It is what it is. So it's going to be great. It's going to be great. Now, let me tell you what else is also going to be great. This pick that we have tomorrow. So it belongs to the Browns. So let me rephrase that. It would have been the Browns pick. So we're going to talk about the Browns tomorrow, the Cleveland Browns, and their crazy 2023 season. It used to be the Texans pick. So the Texans had 2 first-round picks. It now belongs to the Vikings because the Vikings have homeboy from draft day giving up second-round picks for that, for this pick. So, it's one of those things. And one of the second-round picks that the Vikings gave the Texans gave it to Buffalo to make it into Stephon Diggs. So, I'm going to be honest with you. This pick caused a lot of because originally how this pick started is this is the pick the Browns got because of the whole Deshaun Watson trade. But it was the Texans, and it was like, oh my God, it seemed like the Texans and the Browns really did a good move for each other. And now it belongs to the Vikings because, it is what it is. So, yeah. So, even though we're going to be talking about the Browns, we are going to be making the Vikings pick again. And I had the Vikings taking an offensive lineman with pick number 11. And now the Vikings are back here at 23. So, initially, I think what it is in the real world, I think the Vikings are trying everything they can to try to get into a top spot to get a quarterback. Now, I don't know what team that is because it seems like Chicago, Washington are pretty much made up their mind that they are going to go quarterback. So are we looking at New England? I mean, you said it yourself. Is New England all in on a quarterback? Are they trying to wait for something? Is Arizona going to pass up the opportunity for a Marvin Harrison Jr.? Could the Chargers be looking? I understand that we can get a franchise left tackle or a franchise wide receiver, which we desperately need, or maybe we trade back at 11 and 23 and still fill those needs. So there's a lot. So I think Minnesota's trying to do in play to where there's a reason why they only traded their second. And I could see where I think traded up with New England. New England is looking at Minnesota and being, I need 3 first rounders. And it would be this year's, this 2, next year's, and I wouldn't even be surprised if they asked for a 4th one.
Yeah, after that, yeah.
And like, I need 4 first rounders. And if you're New England fans, you're probably salivating at the idea that you get 4 extra first rounders.
No, they will not. They're gonna be like, how the fuck you don't drop a quarterback at 3?
Okay, logical New England fans would be salivating. Logical.
We would be like, that makes sense.
Like, yeah, wow, you get 4 extra first rounders. You control the draft board for the next, 2 to 3 years. You get to move. You get to, or you could get a free eight. You could get a player who's unhappy somewhere, bring them here because you will have the cap space and you have the draft capital to do it. So the salivating at the idea, and it's not like New England's having a terrible offseason. They're not. They're signing players. They're trying to be competitive again. And now that Buffalo did the ultimate, Buffalo thing, it's like, hey, who's to say that, New England can't?
Buffalo went full Buffalo.
So, I mean, logical New England fans will probably be like, man, we can get to control the board. We get to do this. We get to do that. So who's to say? Oh, hell, Brandon, I don't know. Who's to say in a couple of years from now, let's say it's not going to work out with CJ Stroud in Houston. And then CJ Stroud's doing this, but Houston did the same thing what they did to Deshaun Watson. Obviously, hypothetically speaking, right? We're speaking hypotheticals right now. Who's to say, hey, maybe Baltimore is never going to win one with Lamar Jackson. So, hey, Lamar Jackson, he'll be the best quarterback you've had since Tom Brady. So it's, it's like this. I think New England is probably the target for Minnesota, but what's the price? What is the price, right? And if you're Minnesota, you have to tell New England, I can't give you any 2s because I don't have any more. Well, I do, but I don't want to sacrifice those 2s anymore. Well, you're going to have to sacrifice another 1 probably. So it's just one of those things. So I don't know. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. I think I know what Minnesota's trying to prime here, but for our sake, they're going to stay at 11 and 23 just for the show. But I think Minnesota's a team to keep an eye on as the draft gets closer and closer to the day. So, Brandon, any final thoughts before we close the show out today?
Nah, man. I think the Eagles are going to be an interesting team to see in the draft process because they definitely need a corner. I'm not going to sit up here and act like they don't because they definitely do. But do you say you trust the guys that you did draft to be the center? That's kind of where I think the question really does lie with the Eagles. Do you trust the guys you drafted to be the center? If not, then probably draft a center. Is it too early, maybe you would say, to maybe take a center in the first round?
No, never too early.
That's up for the people to decide. A lot of people would probably take the weapon, take the defensive specialist. But if you know your offense and you know you kind of need somebody to replace Jason Kelce because you don't really trust these guys like that, then probably take the center. But if not, I already had a cornerback going to Philly last year. I was like, this is why I feel like Philly should have taken a cornerback last year because I felt like they're getting older in the secondary too. Nobody's like,
and and that has to be the thing, right? That has to be the discussion, right? Like, you drafted them because you knew that they had to play eventually. If you drafted them just to be depth pieces, then I got some bad news for you. Then, and I think that's what would kill Nick Sirianni's job. So, and by the way, I know somebody's going to say this, and I'm pretty sure somebody will break it out, about the whole Vikings trying to trade up. And I'm sure Colin Howard would be like, why would Minnesota want to trade up? Because Sam Darnold is there. because motherfucker, Sam Darnold is the only quarterback on the roster compared to Jaron Hall. Yeah, they might need a quarterback. So either way,
If there is any Vikings fans, I really wanna ask them this question. Do you truly feel comfortable with Sam Darnold being your quarterback? I couldn't even keep a straight face.
knowing that Green Bay got better and knowing that Detroit is the powerhouse of the NFC North and Chicago is primed to be a better team than they were last year.
You feel comfortable with Sam Darnold?
That is the $1 million question. And the reason I say that is because that's what they're paying them. So
You feel comfortable with Sam Darnold?
So it's just one of those things. I think it's one of those things that
Justin Jefferson gonna look at y'all and be like, "Get me the fuck off this team! I'm here for it."
I am not here for a rebuild.
He's like, "Man, get me the fuck off this team, man! Trade me today! Fuck this! Oh my god!"
They can offer Justin Jefferson right now a 7-year. Let's just throw out a number. They can offer him a 7-year and $93 million contract. Which is whatever $930 million, which is like $60 million a year, and he will probably still say no.
I would.
Like he would probably still say no. So I mean, it's one of those things where, like I said, I think Minnesota. Well, it's not that I don't think. I should believe that Minnesota is in play for a big trade for this draft. But the thing is, which team is it? I think the most logical sense would have to be New England, right? Because you don't want to play the risk of maybe Tennessee, maybe Atlanta, maybe the Giants, maybe someone, because we don't know. So, I mean, I think the only logical thing would be you would have to have a real discussion with Gerard Mayo and the New England staff and be like, hey, if you don't know who you want, we know who we want, but we need your pick to get him.
Here's the thing. They might have been calling New England for a while and saying, look, what we got. We can trade you guys. But my thing is this. I also feel like New England is going to go to the highest bidder. Their pick is going to the highest bidder. So you might.
If you're Minnesota, do you well, obviously, Justin Jefferson cannot be in a trade package.
And that's the thing. See,
because that's all Minnesota has to. I mean, what else can you offer him? Harrison Smith?
But that's running the risk. But the problem with that is, just like I said, like, the reason why Chicago traded the pick to Carolina last year is because they put DJ Moore in the package. If not, that pick would have went to the Raiders.
Probably. I'm not going to lie to you. I think we probably would have thrown something in there to where it's like, yeah, that sucks for the Raiders, but hey, we get CJ Stroud. Hey, we get CJ Stroud.
I don't think people understand it. Like, yo, if Carolina doesn't throw DJ Moore in the package, yeah, you got the pick. You got the pick from Carolina, but you also got a fucking weapon. And I think that's the thing. Like, yeah, the Vikings might be offering the first 2 picks of this draft. Their picks in this draft, but they probably are not offering anything else outside those picks because they really don't have anything outside.
And I think that's I think the only bad thing for Minnesota is like you can only offer
the
picks because I can't. Because if I'm going to give you Justin Jefferson, then I have to truly believe that Jordan Addison can do what Justin Jefferson can do.
And be the guy, and that's the thing where. If you're probably like the Raiders, who can offer a little bit more, you can offer them your pick, but you can also offer what? I don't say Devontae Adams. That's a little crazy.
That's a little too much.
That's a little crazy. But
I can offer you, if you guys are really looking for safety help, I can give you Trayvon Moehrig. I doubt they want Jack Jones back. I doubt they want him back.
You can offer different. You could tell Marcus Epps.
If you want Marcus Epps, sure, you can do that. I just think right now for Minnesota, I think they just have to add. They have to add value.
And like, because because to me, I'm looking at this and I'm thinking from a perspective of what are you offering?
But the thing is this: the thing with that thing is, Chicago was the number one pick. You're number 3, and I know what people are going to say. Well, what's the difference between 1 and 3? A lot.
A lot.
Because put it like this: Chicago, whoever they draft a quarterback, they have to give them a lot of money. That's number 1 money. I mean, it's not like Jamarcus Russell or Sam Bradford money, but it's still good money. It's still good money for the first pick in the draft that's never played.
Yeah.
You know, and the thing is, okay, sure, but you get the quarterback that you want for maybe, I don't know, $3.5 million less.
And you control the board. You have the number 1 pick, so you can pick anybody you want.
Because here's the thing: Chicago is not going to give up the number 1 pick. They're not doing that again.
They're not doing that shit.
Like, listen, we're not putting that number 1 pick back in the pool because we got lucky the last time we did. I don't know how lucky you can get again. If you're Washington, you have to think to yourself, well, maybe, but then we're passing up this and that. I think New England did the whole Jacoby Brissett thing just as insurance. Because let's say New England is not sold on a quarterback, right? After the second pick. Yes, the fans would be upset, but you would have to think, I can get a good haul. But the only thing that killed it is that Carolina went above and beyond to get that number 1 pick. Now, I don't think Minnesota has to go above and beyond, but you have to give us some sort of compromise. Hell, it could be Jordan Addison too.
I don't really trade Jordan Addison. Just in case Justin Jefferson do walk next year, you can't trade Jordan Addison.
Then the only logical thing would have to be, I have to give Justin Jefferson to the New England Patriots to get that number 3 pick.
And that might be the defining factor. Like, that really might be the defining factor. But at the same time, you can't just give, Jordan Addison. You can't trade Jordan Addison. You just draft him. Like, you can't trade him now and be like, yeah, we're gonna trade him too. You might have to give up Justin Jefferson. You might have to. That's only if you cannot agree with a trade deal. Like, if you can't come to an agreement.
If 4 first-round picks are not enough, then yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't think, and you just hit the nail on the head. Carolina gave up a little bit too much. So now teams are gonna be like, yeah, the picks are great. That's cool, but I also need something for the immediate, like now. I need something that's gonna actually play, this season.
And I don't think people understood the repercussions that Carolina did when they made that trade. It's like Chicago was like, oh hell yeah, I don't mind the picks, but I also need a need because I'm not guaranteed to get my need at your pick. So can you throw something? I can get you DJ Moore. Okay.
And that's the thing. If New England does decide, let's say New England does decide to do this, they're telling you right in and there, they don't look at the quarterback position like you're looking at the quarterback position. So you need it way more than we do.
Because here's the thing. And like you said, I don't look at the quarterback, but I can still take my quarterback and just prep him for the future.
Yeah, I can still take him. I might not want him, but I can take him. And we can see what happens with him. We can flip him maybe next year.
We can flip him. We can have him sit a couple years behind Jacoby Brissett until he's ready. And then, we build the team around him. And now we look like geniuses, take him at 3. Or you could give me your picks. You could give me a guy. You get the quarterback. And I still get to build my team how I want to build it.
We might have a bad season next year. And even though we drafted this quarterback at 3, we like the kid from Texas. So we might take the kid from Texas with the number 1 pick. So we need to flip this quarterback regardless. It can happen.
It happens. The NFL is such a weird game. The real games are the mind games. Those are the real games. And I think that's what Minnesota's trying to do. So I think tomorrow is going to be, I think up until draft day, I think it's going to be very telling. I'm going to be honest with you. it would not surprise me if me and you are watching the draft and then it says New England traded the pick. It's like, yep, here it is.
We'd be like,
But then I'm going to be like, well, what did they give up? What did they give up? And then I'm going to see Double J. I'm going to see Justin Jefferson. And I'm going to be like, oh my God, Justin Jefferson is a New England Patriot. Which would suck for Justin Jefferson, but he would be in a, which would be funny.
Here's the crazy point. New England could still take a quarterback at 11.
Yeah.
That's a fucking great. Minnesota would probably rush to get the pick just to give New England a quarterback regardless. They're still going to probably end up with a quarterback regardless. They just don't have now the pressure of you have to get a quarterback now.
Now it's like, oh, well, we could do whatever we want with this pick now. So
At 11 is like we can keep Jacoby Brissett and we could probably still draft, let's say, Michael Penix Jr. before the Raiders get to him.
or before Denver gets to him, or before New Orleans gets to him, we can do what we want to do.
But you're right that like great shit. I'm starting to see like if he wasn't hurt, Jordan Travis would be high on boards.
I still be a little skeptical about drafting him that high. I would say maybe third to fourth.
Or but if he wasn't hurt,
I think even if it wasn't hurt, I would still be a little like, I don't know, man. Like, there's some things I just don't feel right about him. Like, I don't feel right. I'm just like, I don't know, man.
I think he's a better quarterback than J.J. McCarthy.
Well, I mean, that's not really a high bar. I mean, that's just him. That's just him stepping over a twig. That's just him, like making sure he doesn't like trip over a freaking twig while he's like rollerblading or something. Like you watch out for stuff like that. It's like, come on. I don't know. I just think there's a little. Now, what is funny? Jordan Travis was here on a visit, so I mean, I thought that was pretty cool. Like he was here on a visit, so. But I don't think the Raiders are going to – if the Raiders are going to go quarterback, they're going to go quarterback early. I don't think they go quarterback late. I don't think so, especially after the fact that Aiden O'Connell's still in that fucking building. So, I mean – and Antonio Pierce chose – handpicked him specifically. And last I checked, Antonio Pierce is the new head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders. So, the draft is a funny thing. The draft is a funny thing. So, I don't know. But that's going to do it today. We will be back tomorrow for the Cleveland Browns, but the Vikings will be making that selection, so that's going to be great. So just a quick little reminder, Brandon went with the center from Oregon, and I went with Quayon Mitchell. You guys let us know what you guys would do at pick number 22. But above all else, that's going to do it for today. Brandon, as always, it is awesome to talk to you, my man. You have a wonderful day. Enjoy your Sunday night. I will see you guys tomorrow. Thank you for everybody tuning in. We will see you guys tomorrow.